happy to see that the hall is full and many people have come from far, so we really appreciate your presence here. I would like to take this moment to facilitate our esteemed guests.
Intention, we are all, it's a reminder for us to say that, we are all rooted for young people, and young people here and young people across. I just want to set the context for today's workshop. I'm Dr. Sri Ravindranath. I'm the Director for Research and Impact at Sri Madrid. I was just thinking, when we talk about education globally, and in India and globally, the whole conversation right now is around how can we make the educational experience better for children? What else we can actually do to make them happy? What more we can actually do to make them the experience of teaching learning processes more engaging, more joyful, and most importantly, what we call it as how to make young people or children in the schools happy, resilient, and responsible. And we are part of these discussions across the state governments and across the globe. And a couple of insights that we have right now is we are all trying to do beyond academics. We really want children to be happy. We wanted to go beyond academic grades and marks and define what they are actually. Schools are becoming more equitable and inclusive spaces. Classroom, we really wanted the classroom to be a safe space where children can actually get experiences, express that what they actually wanted.
So we have considered junior and senior students, which consists so junior students from 6th to 8th standard, which is in the sample actually 50% of students are from junior, and senior students, that is 9th to 12th standard, that is also again 50. So that was an equal distribution. And when we talk about a sample in terms of gender, so for boys it was 46% and girls it was 54%. We tried to figure come up with 50-50, but because of the convenience, the availability actually it has got a 46 and 54 sample distribution based on gender. So now I'll just so what was the purpose, what is the major objective of this TNA was to understand the current status of well-being among these students. At the same time, what are the contexts or what are the contextual factors affecting their well-being? That was one of the key objective. And second objective was to hear from the parents and teachers their perspective about well-being of their students. So that was the two major objectives, and major tools used to understand and gauge this information was social and emotional well-being. That is a standardized scale which talks about social, personal, and emotional well-being elements. Then we have also conducted we have also given a checklist for teachers to understand their perspective about their students' well-being. That was another tool. And third tool was interview schedule. So we have conducted teacher interviews. So we have prepared a teacher interview schedule. At the same time, there was an interview schedule for parents also. So there was a interview schedule for that as well. Yeah. So before getting into the insights, I just wanted to portray or showcase about what we have measured or what we have gauged, what we tried to figure out out of this social and emotional well-being. So major dimensions what we focused here was emotional well-being, which talks about how students able to regulate their emotions in their stressful events, and which this emotional well-being consists of two sub-skills, that is emotional regulation and coping with stress. And next major dimension was resilience. It talks about how students are bouncing back in their adverse situation. and third was on social support. So social support is basically how students perceive their social support is from their significant people around them. So how they perceive about their social support, that was a major dimension. And fourth major dimension was social well-being. It talks about how they create a positive relationship with surroundings. So it major sub-skills under that was interpersonal relationship and empathy, and last one is personal well-being. That is all about how your ability to evaluate your life for a positive functioning, and the sub-skills under personal well-being was self-efficacy and autonomy. So these were the dimensions we focused while we measuring this social and emotional well-being of these students.
No, I mean, we've had a very comprehensive understanding of what the need assessment findings were all about, and sort of, how do we plan to take this whole thing forward. And I want to give you a brief background of how all of this started and why socio-emotional learning is going to be a very key component of what we do going forward. So Dream a Dream founder is Suchita and Vishal, very dear friends. So we were discussing sometime in 2022, late 2022, about collaborating and figuring out how do we sort of work together to improve the school education ecosystem here in our state. So Dream had worked on two major projects. I mean, they've been working with several states on several projects, but the two major projects that they worked on was something known as the happiness curriculum, which the government of Delhi has introduced and which has been received very well and has had amazing reviews in terms of, from students, teachers, parents alike, in terms of how they're helping kids deal with their emotions and deal with, stresses in life. I think ultimately all of us, once we go through the education system, we do understand that the most important component of our life is how do we deal with what happens to us, all the curveballs that life throws at us. The moment that is sorted, anything else we can just take it with the flow and manage. So we wanted to do something similar here. So this was one of the projects that we're working on. The other one is they work with CBSE for development of the holistic progress card. So most of our report cards are typically one-dimensional. They look at how well you've scored in your exams, how was your attendance, and so on and so forth. But then you're not covering elements that are over and above just the academics. Right? So the holistic progress card was an initiative by CBSE, and the CBSE has already introduced it. So they're now working with NBSE on developing our own version of the holistic progress card, because anything of this sort has to be customized to our state's requirements. So that's something that they're already working on. Apart from that, we wanted our own version of the happiness curriculum and to help our kids deal with whatever life throws at them and then learn successfully. So the social well-being curriculum, that's how we started working on it. But then before we started on development of the curriculum, we wanted to do a training needs analysis, because we have to understand exactly what's the situation in our state. Because if there are certain parameters where our kids are far superior to kids in the other states, you wouldn't want to focus much when it comes to the on that particular aspect in the curriculum. So this was very essential to get a sense of what's there on the ground. So that's how the training needs analysis went about. So social emotional learning, so today's workshop is just not about discussing what SEL is. Most of us are aware of what SEL is, but how do we sort of integrate this and come up with a holistic intervention which would help put our kids at the center and then give them skills with which they can successfully navigate life.
We are all aware that the National Education Policy 2020 talks about competency-based learning, talks about experiential learning, critical thinking, talks about building the capacities of children with life skills, vocational education, so on and so forth. And I would like to here take the words of our Honorable Governor. I was just reading the newspaper this morning, and what is shared in Haryana recently is it that the National Education Policy 2020, recognizing the challenges and the gaps in the existing education system, has come out with very bold initiatives, very innovative policy. And we all agree with that. Our existing education system is based on rote learning, but we now have to shift to competency-based learning. And with that, teachers, educators, school managers, we also have to shift. We have to first shift our thinking. We are the ones who should first move. If we are talking about learning in the schools, it is we who should take the first move of these learnings if these changes are to take place in our schools. We are happy that the Dream a Dream team, they have come forward on their own in 2022. They have come forward to assist us to come up with this curriculum.